It is Friday, April 27th, 2018. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And yes, it was a very productive get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Friday, although I did not spend all that much time getting my ass kicked. It was good just to get back in and just do the thing. You know, I was in on Wednesday. I was also in on Tuesday. I want to try and bump it up. Probably going to go in tomorrow too. But I don't know. I'm starting to get a little concerned about my arm. It's a little bit slow in healing from the old tournament. That wasn't really all that long ago, but just the same, I was hoping it'd be a little bit farther along than it is. It doesn't really help that I've been doing jiu-jitsu continuously since then, so I'm sure. But today, when it started to bug me, I immediately stopped. I'm like, okay, I hear you. I don't need to get my arm ripped off at the elbow to know that I am still injured and that, I got to kind of take it easy. So, anyway, with that, I don't know. I didn't really have anything planned on the show today. Although I'm sure I've got like a bazillion tabs open here in the browser. We'll have plenty to talk about. But yeah, it was a casual Friday. We really didn't have a lot of people in on the Friday class, and that's just like a thing. For whatever reason, just the least people seem to show up on Fridays to train. I don't understand it, but that's just the way it is. But nonetheless, I still had plenty of challenging partners to work with, and like I said, it was pretty interesting. I'm trying to spend a little more time creating space between me and my opponent. That's been something that has been really hard for me, is because my tendency is I want to keep them really close to me. It's like I don't want them to be able to hit me. I want to keep them really tight into me, and then slowly work them into some sort of position where I can choke them out, or maybe not so slowly. But I'm not anywhere near that as far as what I would consider prepared to just mount up and take that back and whatnot. But I'm getting a little better every time I go in. And so, that's one of those reasons why I won't just stop. It's like I've tried going in there and just, sitting on the sidelines the whole class and not really getting into it. But it's worse than being a fat kid in a candy store. Just like, dude, here, take my money, give me something sweet, let me chow down on that. And that's how it is. I'm watching people in front of me, rolling shit, and I want to be doing it. I want to be there. So, it's kind of tough. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down some music, and I'm feeling like a little Cold Chamber, Big Truck, here on Coin Metal, First Dance. And that was Machine Head with Now I Lay Thee Down. And I haven't really kept up with them. They've got a newer one out called Catharsis, and I believe they're still on tour for that. I'm not entirely certain. I do recall something on my Twitter feed about Rob Flynn having caught strep or something like that during the tour. And like I said, I don't know if they're still on tour for it, but they may in fact be. You never know. Anyway, I wanted to start this episode off with a subject that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and that would be recycling. I think that hardware recycling is going to be, if not already, it kind of already is. Recycling, consumables and whatnot for either repair or just rending it down to raw materials to make new stuff out of. Either way, I think that it's going to be a bigger industry in the near future. I think as it becomes more expensive to run things on gasoline, which it is slowly becoming, that we are going to hit some sort of point in between where it's just more energy intensive to drag it out of the ground and process it and whatnot than to recover old stuff that's laying around people's houses and whatnot, and maybe giving them some money for it because you intend to turn it into something that you can turn around and sell them. So it's like a win-win, Anyway, here we go. Got this article on activistpost.com. E-waste recyclers sentenced to over a year in prison for fixing old PCs and selling them. This was authored on April 27th, 2018. And let's see, who is the person who wrote this thing? John Vibes. So yes, penis. Computer technician and e-waste recycler Eric Lundgren is going to prison for 15 months for selling restore disks for computers, which would extend their longevity and allow them to be resold to new users. A federal appeals court in Miami rejected the appeal in his case this week, upholding a federal district judge ruling that Lundgren violated Microsoft's copyright by selling the disks. Although these restore disks come free with every computer, there is a license key that is tied to the first buyer, which makes it effectively impossible to restore these computers for private sale. That is, unless you want to pay Microsoft for an entirely new license, at which point most people would just choose to buy a new computer. I'm going to prison. I've accepted it. What I'm not okay with is people not understanding why I'm going to prison. Hopefully my story can shine some light on the e-waste epidemic we have in the United States, how wasteful we are. At what point do we stand up and say something? I didn't say something, I just did it, Lundgren told Washington Post on Monday. And you know what? We should probably be reading it from the Washington Post, but we'll reflect back on theirs too. By keeping computers out of landfills for just a few more years, Lundgren was really doing great work for both the environment and people with lower incomes who cannot afford to go out and buy new computers. Even the judge expressed remorse during the sentencing, but still decided to send him to prison for 15 months anyway. Quote, "This is a difficult sentencing because I credit everything you are telling me. You are a very reasonable person. This case is especially difficult because of who you are today in terms of who you have become," Senior U.S. District Judge Daniel T.K. Hurley told him in court last year. Initially, Microsoft was open about the fact that Lundgren was being prosecuted because his operation negatively impacted their revenue stream. However, Microsoft lawyer Bonnie McNaughton wrote in a statement to the judge that, quote, "These sales of counterfeit operating systems displaced Microsoft's potential sales of genuine operating systems." However, since the case has gotten so much media attention, and many are seeing Lundgren as a hero, Microsoft has changed their tune and are saying that this is a measure that was taken to protect people from malware. Bullshit. Anyway, continuing. In a statement this week, Microsoft went on the defensive about the prosecution. Microsoft actively supports efforts to address e-waste and has worked with responsible e-recyclers to recycle more than 11 million kilograms of e-waste since 2006. Unlike most e-recyclers, Mr. Lundgren sought out counterfeit software, which he disguised as legitimate and sold to other refurbishers. This counterfeit software exposes people who purchase recycled PCs to malware and other forms of cybercrime, which puts their security at risk and ultimately hurts the market for recycled products. Lundgren, on the other hand, says that he is going to jail because his plan to reduce e-waste and help the environment got in the way of Microsoft's business model. And I think that's probably more likely. Quote, in essence, I got in the way of Microsoft's profits, so they pushed this into the federal court on false pretenses, Lundgren said. This was false and inaccurate testimony provided by Microsoft in an attempt to set a precedent that will scare away future recyclers and refurbishers from reusing computers without first paying Microsoft again for another license. Lundgren concluded that ultimately, quote, anyone successfully extending the life of computers or diverting these computers from landfills for reuse in society is essentially standing in the way of Microsoft's profits. The court gave Lundgren a few weeks to make his business transition arrangements before he will surrender to police custody. But he was warned that if he created too much media attention, he would be taken in immediately. Quote, I was told if I got loud in the media, they'd come pick me up. I wonder if we're doing him a disservice now. If you want to take my liberty, I'm going to get loud, Lundgren said. Oh, well, I guess we're playing his game too. Each year, 20 to 50 million tons of e-waste is generated worldwide, and while it only represents 2% of the solid waste stream, it accounts for 70% of the hazardous waste that is in landfills, according to the EPA. Extending the lives of computers by giving people an easy way to buy them used, would put a significant dent in this problem. I could not agree more. And so there you have it. Microsoft trying to fuck everybody again. I shouldn't say that. Microsoft has done a lot of good things, but you know what? Their perspective on IP has always chafed me. You know, because the fact of the matter is this kind of stuff, in my mind, it limits potential customers. Because I don't know. I think that the one thing Lundgren did wrong was that he wasn't setting these people up with Linux boxes. He could have got around all this bullshit. You know, just put fucking Mint on all of them. I mean, if you have to, have a fucking class. I mean, you're probably working with volunteers already to recycle all of your hardware, because that's how one of the places in my locality was doing, and it worked out really well. Actually, I think they're still doing it too. But at one point, they had like 3 sites where they were accumulating hardware and recycling it. But they actually went through Microsoft where they had to get the licenses for it. And I think that's all just a bunch of bullshit. You know, I mean, the fact of the matter is that we've already pulled out all of the materials that we'll need to run, continue to recycle and just make smaller and lighter hardware for the next decade, and it's sitting in fucking landfills. And trying to hold all that up because, gosh, Microsoft might miss out on a few fucking pennies. Give me a break. You people already have the goddamn rate box that you spend $300 for the box for, and then you got to spend money for the service, and then you got to spend money for the games, and then you got to spend money in the games. Give me a fucking break. You guys should be fucking rolling in dough. I mean, the amount of actual loss that we're talking about here is minimal. And you got to consider what else he's doing, though. Okay, when he is rebuilding these computers and refurbishing them and getting them out to new hands, you know what else he's doing, Microsoft? He's creating new fucking Microsoft users. Do you know who buys Microsoft operating systems? Microsoft users. Fucking idiots. God damn. Pisses me off. It's like you're thinking like 2 seconds into the future with this shit. I mean, really, you want to be viable for another decade as an operating system company or a software company? That rate box isn't going to do it, I'll tell you that. It's not going to take too much longer before the games that people can get free on Steam look good enough and operate well enough that they don't even need to go to you anymore to get high quality content over their internet connection. And then they're not going to bother. You know, I mean, people think this drift away from cable TV and satellite TV, they think that that's going to stop. There's a reason that's happening. It's because, number one, the shit's too expensive. I mean, when you're talking about $300 for your bundled shit every month, and that's just your, like, the utility end of it. You know, getting your bandwidth, your whatever, your satellite TV service, 450 channels, of, you know, half of which are in Mexican or in Spanish. But you know, it's like after a while, you don't want to pay for that shit. You know, and I hear these like murmurs of wanting to do that shit with quote unquote blockchains, you know, micropayments every second. Now, fuck you too. I get all that shit for free. I'll find a way to get it for free, even if you don't let me have it for free. All this shit is going to be free, one way or another. I mean, I create all this media, most of it with freeware. I mean, I'm going to be upgrading soon enough. But for the moment, like I said, shit, my microphone costs some money, my desktop costs some money, and I think maybe one or two of the programs. So, of course, my operating system, my Microsoft operating system, fucking costs money. But yeah, like I said, I anticipate at some point or another I'll use some sort of commercial software to be doing this show, just to make it a better product for you guys to be listening to. But yeah, like I said, this guy, he's making fucking Microsoft users out of people that don't use computers. I don't understand. I really don't understand it. I mean, it's like I was in a conversation on Twitter earlier with somebody who was setting up this or they just ran this thing where it was like $1,200 to get into it. I mean, you know what happens when you have $1,200 tickets to your event? You only get people that are either A, already really successful, B, sponsored by people that are really, really successful. That's it. You don't get the people that really need this technology to be advancing their lifestyles. No, you don't get those people. You missed out on those people at $12.50 and at maybe $120. You know, you probably missed out on $125 people. You know, you probably could have packed the thing with thousands and thousands of people at $12.50, made just as much money, but created a lot more value for everybody. But, you know, it's kind of obvious to a lot of us that can't attend such events that they're not for us to attend. You're trying to pollute crypto with a bunch of fucking elitists who are already millionaires and billionaires. And I mean, that's cool to be getting industry leaders together and whatnot, but what about the rest of us? This isn't a technology that requires some technocracy above us, you know, shouting down from on high, telling us exactly what's going to go on, how we're going to do things here. No. The fucking magic wand has been open sourced, kids. And so big whoop-de-doo, you have your private networks and your private blockchains and your private this and your private that. Okay, and you'll probably make a lot of money off of people that are not all that sophisticated with the stuff, and they're using it as just like their credit card or something, or some transdermal chip or some shit like that. and you know, that's cool and all. That's one possibility. But because this isn't some technology that's all stashed away, we can still start it again from scratch. By the time this guy gets out of prison, the 15 years or 15 months or whatever he's going to be in, but by the time he gets out of prison, he'll be able to set up his previous contacts for hardware recycling, you know, set up another recycling thing, except instead of trying to sell people Microsoft systems, he'll do something smart. He'll go with Linux, and any hardware that's capable of it, he'll be mining with. He'll recycle it himself and turn it into mining gear. I think that keeping the barrier for entry on that end low will ensure our continued participation in it. And I really think that our continued participation is going to get even more significant over the next, I would say, year, possibly two. You know, I've been watching the attitudes of hardware developers. And for a while now, it's been apparent that they see an end to public mining, or that they are envisioning that there will be an end to public mining. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year. And they've been really, really tentative about investing any real money in making hardware. But I think that the issues in China with the Chinese government cracking down on some miners, I think that what that's going to do is it's going to cause what happened in Venezuela to happen everywhere else too. Where the cops were busting miners, they'd steal their gear, they'd set it up themselves, and then they would mine. But the miners that they stole the gear from wouldn't stop mining. They would just stop mining Bitcoin. And they started setting up smaller end rigs and mining Ethereum with it. Now, this is the aspect of cryptocurrencies that a lot of people like to discount, like it doesn't matter or it doesn't exist. And that's that when it has value to you, when it has utility for you, you will mine it and you will use it. Of course, you'll have to know that it's available for you to do that. And so the choices aren't going to stop with just Ethereum. They're going to go all the way down to, down to us here at Verge. Although it's not really down to us anymore. I mean, we've been consistently in the top 10 for months on Bittrex. So I think that's a pretty good sign. We're not going to go anywhere. Nowhere but up anyway. But the point being that when a cryptocurrency becomes too burdensome to mine, people will not stop mining. They'll just mine something that's much easier to mine. And then that thing will grow in value because its network will appreciate in value with the increased participation. And that's the choice aspect of cryptocurrencies that, like I said, it seems like there's so many parties that want to downplay that. And they tell you all kinds of bullshit about how Bitcoin is going to be the only fucking... fuck you! Bitcoin hasn't been the only anything in crypto since like 2010, 2011. As soon as it became obvious that some ideologues were going to glom onto it, the certainty of altcoins being a thing became quite apparent. And at first I kind of objected to it because I thought it drew attention away from Bitcoin. But then I understood that Bitcoin on its own being the only cryptocurrency creates a liability, because then all that has to be destroyed or corrupted or perverted is the one coin, and then all of it is for naught. And it won't matter that it's open source, because they could just draw up the laws around that one and also add, oh, and you can't do this anymore. This is the one, and you can use this one, and that's it. The rest of them are illegal. But that option went away in 2013, 2014, when we started seeing all kinds of alts popping up everywhere. You know, and that, like I said, I don't think that's going to end. I think as soon as any cryptocurrency gets too tough for people to mine on recycled hardware, they start looking around for other coins to mine. And when they can't find other coins to mine, they make other coins to mine. And it's only so long before those hit critical mass and the bigger miners want to come to them. And like I said, I don't think that's going to end. I think that's part of the game. You know? And so we got to thank altcoins for their existence on that front. Anyway, let's get back into articles, though. I saw this one, and I kind of had to laugh, because recently Verge had a kind of established some relations with Token Pay, and is now being accepted as means of payment on Pornhub, which I think is pretty cool. Hold on one second here. It's feeling a little thirsty there. Anyway, we might even get something interesting out of this. Anyway, I got this article here on EthereumWorldNews.com. Litecoin LTC confirms Token Pay partnership on acquiring German bank debit card. And this is by Yusuf Sapoto. And from the picture and the name, yes, penis. Continuing on. The discussion that ensued between the CEO of Token Pay and that of Litecoin on the acquisition of a bank in Germany and the production of an LTC debit card, which later ended in a tete-a-tete between the two CEOs, has actually been confirmed to be true. During the unveiling of Verge's secret partnership, Litecoin CEO Charlie Lee disparaged Verge for saying it will coast the cryptocurrency market. It will cost? Cost? Dude, you got to do some spell check. Cost the cryptocurrency market after the partnership. However, he was countered by the CEO of Token Pay, Derek Capo, who questioned Lee for not investing in Verge's crowdfunding, but complaining of the partnership. The conversation went on between the two until they both came to terms to discuss privately on the acquisition of a German bank and the production of a Litecoin debit card. Quote, number 1. If Token Pay did not donate, the deal does not happen. Number 2. Token Pay has a partnership with Verge Currency for our banking solution. We are buying a bank in Germany. 3. More partnerships between crypto is important. Token Pay also benefits in helping a large community, etc. Quote, no problem. So when do you want to talk about a real debit card solution for Litecoin? Pardon me. We are buying 9.9% of a bank in Munich with an option to buy 90%. We have a whole ecosystem and plan in place. Let me know how you can work together. The battle between old and new world is just getting started. Dude, I don't even know if we're at the beginning of the beginning yet, but we're pretty damn close. Quote, the key to making this all work is ecosystems, partnerships, and constant communication with regulators. Not really. Buying a bank in Germany gets us a seat at the regulator table, key to educating governments. As for LTC, we can add our bank, debit card, gift cards, etc. Quote, thanks. Let me know if there's anything I or the Litecoin Foundation can do to help, Charlie replied. However, TokenPay had previously confirmed the partnership in a tweet, saying a non-disclosure agreement has been signed. It did not further state if anything is being discussed on the German bank's side. Quote, TokenPay CEO Derek Capo interview with Sean Davis, the TPay ecosystem explained, XVG deal, LTC NDA signed. While the agreement may not be clear, Charlie, in a message to finance magnates, confirmation revealed that Litecoin is exploring the idea. Litecoin is serious about having a debit card. The crypto coin just partnered with Wirex. A debit card is about to be unveiled after their partnership. 10x also participated or partnered with the crypto coin on the same development. Yusuf, really, dude, you got to read your stuff out loud. I mean, there was a lot of glitches in there that you would have worked out if you did try and read it out loud. This whole Litecoin thing, honestly, Charlie Lee, he, to my knowledge, he divested a lot of his Litecoin. He sold a lot of his Litecoin. So, I don't know, like, is he still in charge of Litecoin? Is he still running the show there? I mean, because like I said, he just burned a ton of his coin not all that long ago. So, I had to wonder about that. I think it's kind of interesting that, you know, Justin and others moved to get the ball rolling on partnerships and whatnot, and all of a sudden Litecoin, oh hey, look at us over here, we matter still. Don't you want to do a partnership with us? It's like, dude, you're copycatting a supposedly much smaller coin. I would argue that Verge's community is probably as large, if not larger, than Litecoin's community, but that's beside the point. I think what a lot of these partnerships do is build relationships that will enhance the way that the people on the business side of it are using this technology. Now, how it will affect us in the greater community, the greater cryptocurrency community, I think it'll result in improved service. But where it doesn't, I think as long as we have an actual seat at the development table, that won't be an issue. But where it doesn't, we'll also have choice. And I think this is something that some people think that partnerships will take care of. That, you know, if they just eliminate the choice by being the only people at the table, that's going to solve the problem. And I could tell you right now, I watched the first altcoin boom. Okay, given how quickly so many altcoins burst out of the seams, it tells me that it's not entirely all that difficult to author a coin. Now, to service a network and maintain the network thereafter, that's a whole different story. We've seen plenty of evidence that's no fucking cakewalk. But the setting up of the coin, you know, the defining the metrics and whatnot. At one point, there, and I don't know if it's still available, but there was a website where you could craft your own coin on it and launch it. And they're doing that still a little bit with ICOs and whatnot. But therein lies the same danger that we were facing with regard to the possibility of Bitcoin being the only cryptocurrency. Is that once Ethereum or Ripple or Bitcoin or whatever you wrote your ICO on top of, once the underlying coin gets fucked in some way, you're fucked too. You don't eliminate that liability by being your own coin on top of them. No. If they go down, you go down too. It's like being a leech. If the host dies and you can't get to another, you die too. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And I've been wanting to play some prong. And let's see here. Which seriously emerging prong off of Scorpio Rising here on Coin Metal. And that was Anthrax with Antisocial. And that's about how I feel about all the talk about regulation. I think it's a very antisocial thing. And especially when I see something like this. You know, I'm looking at the picture, and I'm only assuming that these guys are representatives of Binance. I'm just going to say right now, this is a very diverse grouping of people that I'm seeing here. And when I say that, I mean it's not all a bunch of white kids. And you know, I know that's kind of racist or whatever, but I think it's cool, especially given who I am talking about and their rate of success. It's not amazing because of any particular, like racial thing or anything like that. To me, it just exemplifies who this is benefiting. It's not just helping white people. It's not just helping fucking black people. It's not just helping Mexicans or Chinese people or females or males or gays or straights or transsexuals or, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. This can benefit you, as in cryptocurrencies. And so, you know, like I said, when I see this really diverse grouping of people, it says to me, you know what? There's no fucking barriers on this shit. There's none at all. Anyway, enough of that. I got this article here. It's on Reddit, of all places, reddit.com. CEO of Binance, a company with 200 million yearly revenue, at a press conference. And what I love about this picture, and this guy looks really familiar, I don't know why. I think I may have met him at one point or another. But there's this gentleman in the front, and he's wearing shorts. You know, he's got a tie on and a suit jacket and whatnot, but he's wearing shorts. It's pretty funny. Anyway, continuing on. Oh, no, never mind. That's just it's a video. It's in Bermuda. So, yeah, he's wearing business. Yeah, there we go. Edit, for those who don't know, this is typical Bermuda business attire. And that was, ain't no chick? Ain't no chick. No hick. Aha. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about there as far as the name. Let's see. That looks ridiculous, but I guess it makes sense. Just add shorts. Founded a year ago. Oh yeah, something ain't right there. So do they accept U.S. customers? Yes, they do. Do they report anything to U.S. agencies like the IRS? I don't know. I don't care. Can I be paid out in the form of 1,000 cashier checks made out to cash for 1,000 increments? I don't know. Let's see here. I'm just checking to see if there's anything like productive or cool or anything like that concerning this in the comments section. But yeah, Binance, I've got to say, like, out of all of the exchanges that I've seen come up, they have definitely risen to prominence in a very, very short period of time. And yeah, I at some point or another might like to talk to them. But yeah, like I said, I think it's really cool. You know, I guess they're in Bermuda, so that's cool too. I mean, who wouldn't want to work in fucking Bermuda, right? I mean, and like the comments on there were saying, you know, that's typical fare if you're living in Bermuda, is, you know, a jacket and Bermuda shorts. Anyway, the one I really wanted to get to, and this is an actual article instead of a video. My apologies on that. I thought that was an actual like article concerning the press, but apparently not. Anyway, this one's on blockexplorer.com It was authored April 27th, 2018 by David Murray. Former PayPal CEO, quote, Bitcoin investors drinking the Kool-Aid. Former PayPal CEO Bill Harris continued his Bitcoin bashing world tour on Thursday, arguing on CNBC that cryptocurrency investors are being taken in by a colossal scam. Harris, who was PayPal's founding CEO but was quickly ousted and replaced, said during an interview on Fast Money that cryptocurrency investors are, quote, drinking the Kool-Aid. Quote, everyone is drinking the Kool-Aid, Harris said. I absolutely believe that money should be digital, is becoming more digital, and will be completely digital, but it doesn't mean we need a new currency to record that. Yeah, too fucking bad. We have one. Actually, we have about 1,600 of them, not counting ICOs. Quote, my autograph is scarce. I can promise that I will never autograph a piece of paper more than 21 million times, but it doesn't make it valuable. He added, referencing the fact that Bitcoin's currency supply is capped at approximately 21 million. Here's the thing, dude. I probably wouldn't wipe my butt with the piece of paper you wrote your autograph on. It's not usable for anything. I mean, it might be valuable to you, but it's not of any value to me. So, there you go. Continuing on. Harris, who also founded popular financial portfolio tracker Personal Capital, further took aim at initial coin offerings, disputing claims that this fundraising model is analogous to the initial public offerings commonly pursued by large startups. Quote, there's no reason that a new currency should instantly have billions of dollars in value, Harris said. Then he dug up an old gem of the Bitcoin bashing scrapbook, reviving the once popular blockchain, not Bitcoin anthem. Quote, there's the currency like Bitcoin, and then there's the technology. Blockchain technology has terrific applications, including financial transactions, but we don't need a new currency to do it, Harris said. Yeah, well, fuck you, Harris. We already have it. The interview marked the second time in this week alone that Harris had embarked on a high-profile rant about Bitcoin. Yeah, good for him. On Tuesday, he penned an op-ed in tech news outlet Recode, in which he argued that cryptocurrency is a colossal pump-and-dump scheme, the likes of which the world has never seen. Okay, whatever. He further alleged that cryptocurrency is only used by criminals and that U.S. regulators should be given more authority to intervene in the markets. Hey, should they also have more authority to intervene in the trade of Pokemon cards? Yeah, I don't think so. How about fine wines or maybe rare whiskey? I'm sure you collect something, dude. We can nick you on that. Continuing on. But though Harris has developed a decidedly hostile opinion on cryptocurrency, other PayPal executives and alumni have adopted a much more favorable view. Following PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel has not only compared Bitcoin to digital gold, but has also invested in the asset prolifically through Founders Fund, his venture capital firm. Yeah. Zappos CEO Wences Casares, one of Silicon Valley's first high-profile Bitcoin bulls, sits on the board of PayPal. Even Tesla founder Elon Musk, who replaced Harris at PayPal, owns Bitcoin, albeit a very small amount. And let's see. So yeah, there you have it. An institutional involved guy saying that what you're doing is a scam. Why should you not be surprised? or why should you be surprised? I don't think you should. I mean, your competition for them. But, we've got this article by him. And we're going to give it some air because I need a good laugh. Here it is. Bitcoin is the greatest scam in history. No, not likely. It's a colossal pump and dump scheme the likes of which the world has never seen by Bill Harris. So yes, clearly, penis. April 24th, 2018 at 12:30 p.m. EDT. Continuing on. I'm tired of saying, be careful, it's speculative. Then, be careful, it's gambling. Then, be careful, it's a bubble. Okay, I'll say it. Bitcoin is a scam. In my opinion, it's a colossal pump and dump scheme, the likes of which the world has never seen. In a pump and dump game, promoters pump up the price of a security, creating a speculative frenzy, and then dump some of their holdings at artificially high prices. And some cryptocurrencies are pure frauds. Ernst & Young estimates that 10% of the money raised for initial coin offerings has been stolen. The losers are ill-informed buyers caught up in the spiral of greed. The result is a massive transfer of wealth from ordinary families to internet promoters. A, quote, massive is a massive understatement. 1,500 different cryptocurrencies now register over $300 billion worth of, quote, value. It helps to understand that a Bitcoin has no value at all to you, jackass. Promoters claim cryptocurrency is valuable as 1, a means of payment, which it's always worked for me as. Number 2, a store of value. And number 3, a thing in itself. None of these claims are true, according to you. Number 1, a means of payment. Bitcoins are accepted almost nowhere, and some cryptocurrencies nowhere at all. Even where accepted, a cryptocurrency whose value can swing 10% or more in a single day is useless as a means of payment. Dude, this guy has no fucking clue what he's talking about. Number 2, store of value. Extreme price volatility also makes Bitcoin undesirable as a store of value. I don't know why, it seems to just get more valuable over time. And the storehouses, the cryptocurrency trading exchanges, are far less reliable and trustworthy than ordinary banks and brokers. And I'm going to take you to task on this, dude. I have been trading cryptocurrencies and transacting cryptocurrencies for the last 7 years. I have yet to have a single exchange fail to transfer the fucking money once I have initiated the transfer. Not a single one. And it doesn't matter what I was exchanging it for. I could have been exchanging it for Bitcoin to Verge, or Verge to Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin to Ripple, and then, back over to Bitcoin. It doesn't fucking matter. The transfer happened. When I withdrew the money, I've withdrawn Ripple, I've withdrawn Dash, I've withdrawn all kinds of cryptocurrencies. So this idea that none of them are reliable or trustworthy or as much as ordinary banks or brokers is a bunch of motherfucking bullshit. Fuck you. Continuing on. Number 3, thing in itself. A Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. It only has value if people think other people will buy it at a higher price. The greater fool theory. And to that end, kid, people will buy it for a higher price. Because as you pointed out, there's a limited quantity of them. Continuing on. Some cryptocurrencies, like Sweatcoin, which is redeemable for workout gear, are the equivalent of online coupons or frequent flyer points, a purpose better served by simple promo codes than complex encryption. Indeed, for the vast majority of uses, Bitcoin has no role. Dollars, pounds, euros, yen, and renminbi are better means of payment, stores of value, and things in themselves. Only in your book, dude. Cryptocurrency is best suited for one use, criminal activity. No, not at all. Because transactions can be anonymous, law enforcement cannot easily trace who buys and sells. Its use is dominated by illegal endeavors. Not true at all. Most heavy users of Bitcoin are criminals, such as Silk Road and WannaCry ransomware. And I'm going to take you to task there too, dude. The biggest uses of cryptocurrency at the moment are speculative vehicles. Some are actually being used in commerce, regular, legitimate, above-board commerce, to exchange monetary value from one person to another. I know this is a complete alien concept to you because you're used to having to use Visa to do these things. You're used to having to use Western Union to do these things, or US Bank, or Bank of America, or fucking Bundesbank. Somebody to do it for you, to give you permission to do it. Well, that day is gone, dude. And if that smells like a scam to you, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Continuing on. Hackers WannaCry ransomware. Too many Bitcoin exchanges have experienced spectacular heists such as NiceHash and CoinCheck, or outright fraud such as Mt. Gox and Bitfunder. And there's some question on Mt. Gox. Anyway, continuing on. Way too many initial coin offerings are scams. 418 of the 902 ICOs in 2017 have already failed, as we knew they would. Hackers are getting into the act. It's estimated that 90% of all remote hacking is now focused on Bitcoin theft by commandeering other people's computers to mine coins. Even ordinary buyers are flouting the law. Tax law requires that every sale of cryptocurrency be recorded as a capital gain. No, it doesn't. You don't understand the law as it applies to cryptocurrencies because the exchanges aren't happening as US dollars, you fucks. Continuing on. Capital gain or loss, and of course, most Bitcoin sellers fail to do so. The IRS recently ordered one major exchange to produce records of every significant transaction. And yet a prominent Silicon Valley promoter of Bitcoin proclaims that, quote, Bitcoin is going to transform society. And I happen to agree with that. Bitcoin's been very resilient. It stayed alive during a very difficult time when there was a Silk Road mess. When Mt. Gox stole all that Bitcoin, he argues the criminal activity shows that Bitcoin is strong. I'd say it shows that Bitcoin is used for criminal activity, and you're also wrong. Continuing. Bitcoin transactions are sometimes promoted as instant and nearly free, but they're often relatively slow and expensive. It takes about an hour for a Bitcoin transaction to be confirmed, and the Bitcoin system is limited to 5 transactions per second. MasterCard can process 38,000 transactions per second. Transferring $100 from one person to another costs about $6 using a cryptocurrency exchange, and well less than $1 using an electronic check. And on that point, dude, it really depends on the exchange you're talking about and, of course, the cryptocurrency in question. Because I know that transferring Verge has been really, 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 really fucking cheap. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about there. And with regard to MasterCard, they do their shit off chain on a private network, and the money doesn't actually change hands instantaneously. The transaction is just verified, meaning they check your balances and they say, "Oh yeah, you got that much in your account, so okay, we'll set aside $100 and you know we'll count that as on the other guy's book, and we'll take that out of your available funds." That's the only thing that happens, quote unquote, instantaneously, is the verification of the transaction to happen in 3 to 5 business days. But what you don't seem to understand here is there's a difference between that and the transaction actually being settled. See, for the recipient of the money, it's 3 to 5 business days before they get that money. Now, their bank might be the same bank as you, and they might count that as instantaneous, but the money itself hasn't actually transferred and is not actually counted as your available funds from one exchange. Say you were doing an exchange from you to somebody who has a bank that is not the same bank as yours. The transaction duration will take 3 to 5 business days before it is 100% settled. Now, on Bitcoin, yeah, big fucking whoop-de-doo. We might be experiencing some network congestion, and it might take an hour for you to get your first confirmation. But if it does, what that's actually confirming is that the transaction has actually happened, is actually recorded in the blockchain. You might as well just be on with the rest of your fucking day, because the money has gone from you to your intended recipient. And every time there's a block confirmation thereafter, that's an additional confirmation that your transaction has happened. After 6, it might as well be etched in stone. And so we're talking about what? Like, okay, 2 hours. 2 hours for what it takes MasterCard to do in 3 to 5 business days. So you want to talk about cryptocurrencies being quote-unquote slow? You're incorrect, sir. You're still riding around in a fucking buggy. You think you're in a Ferrari. We're riding in the Ferrari. Continuing on. Bitcoin is absurdly wasteful of natural resources because it is so compute intensive. It's energy intensive, silly. It takes as much electricity to create a single Bitcoin, and we don't mine single Bitcoins, dude. A process called mining, as it does to power an average American household for 2 years. If Bitcoin were used for a large portion of the world's commerce, which won't happen, it would consume a very large portion of the world's electricity, diverting scarce power from useful purposes. And you are incorrect there too. See, there's this thing, it's called Moore's Law, and what it basically states is that every 2 years or so, the capability, the CPU capability of the processors will double in either efficiency and capability. And I know that's not the exact metrics, and I've got somebody on the other side of this yanking out their hair right now, but basically it's that things get more efficient over time because we're constantly making improvements in the size of the chips, the amount of electricity it takes to do the same thing it did yesterday, the efficiency of the throughput on electricity, all that shit. We're always tweaking shit. We're always tweaking drivers to get the fucking thing to work better. And because that is continuous, what you see today is a quote-unquote waste of natural resources that's going to power a house for 2 years. These are just extrapolations that you're making, dude. They're not actual numbers. If you were to go back in time and look at the efficiency scale over time, you will find out that mining has only increased in the amount of power consumed because more people are mining today. It's not because mining itself is some big waste. It's just because more people are mining. If you were to take it on an individual miner basis, a worker, just one worker on a mining pool, if you were to do an average, you would find that the efficiency of each miner has increased substantially from day one when we were using CPUs to now when we're using ASICs. The fucking power consumption and efficiency metrics that we have seen increase on Bitcoin mining is probably more significant than we've seen in any other realm of computing. And I'm even talking about the mad sprints that we had during the 90s of CPUs. that the scale of increase in efficiency and the downsize in processor footprint over time, there's nothing to compare it to. Not video, GPU increases in processing power and all that. Not fucking CPUs. Nothing has seen the turnover interval, the rate of increase in efficiency over time that Bitcoin mining has, and cryptocurrency mining in general. And it is going to save us. I'm telling you right now, it is going to save humanity. Because as this shit gets more sophisticated, as it gets smaller, as it gets more efficient, it's going to drag the rest of the computing fucking chip manufacturing sector with it. They're going to be pushing for smaller nanometers. They're going to be into 5 nanometers and 4 nanometers and teeny, tiny, more and more efficient, cooler, smaller, takes up less of a footprint on your desk, in your mining warehouse. Smaller. That's going to push the rest of computing. Like everything around you that has a CPU, that the development cycle of that CPU is going to be pushed by advancements made in mining. Why? Because mining is incentivized. It's an incentivized process. Just for having the fucking computer running this program, you get rewarded in coin that you can turn around and sell to somebody else, or use as a medium of exchange, depending on the coin, of course, and whether or not any merchants will accept it. Like I said, it is going to save us all. Continuing on. Let's see where we are. We're calm mining as it does a powerhouse. What about a house it would consume for? All right. In what rational universe could somebody simply issue electronic script or announce that they intend to and create out of the blue billions of dollars in value? It makes no sense. Except unless you consider all of the electricity and all of the software and all the fucking bandwidth that it took to mine the coins, then all of a sudden it makes sense, because there was people that were dedicating the electricity and the hardware and the bandwidth to mining the fucking coins. All of this would be a comic sideshow if innocent people weren't at risk. But ordinary people are investing some of their life savings in cryptocurrency. One stock brokerage is encouraging its customers to purchase Bitcoin for their retirement accounts. Oh my God, that's some really good advice. So it's the job of the SEC and other regulators to protect ordinary investors from misleading and fraudulent schemes. Dude, we already do that job better than any fucking federal regulator ever has. It's time we gave them the legislative authority to do their job. No, it isn't. Go fuck yourself. And to that point, let's talk about their authority to do so. Even if they were to draw up a law, even if they were to do so, prosecuting it and enforcing it would be virtually impossible, because what you would be forcing people not to do here, or trying to force people not to do here, they would go and do somewhere else. And then it's one fucking layer deeper of obfuscation that you can't get to. And do you think their partners here that remain here are going to stop trading with them? No, they'll find other ways to trade, and they'll be doing OTC transfers. Shit, I'm hearing about people on fucking Twitter doing 7-figure transfers OTC. And you want to tell me you're going to regulate that? You're going to develop some sort of authority over that, especially with the tools to create new ones in the hands of everybody out here in the live world. I know somebody's going to try, and every place that we've seen them try, seen abject failure. Invariably. And as a matter of fact, there was some confirmation of this suspicion, at least for me, on Twitter the other day, that they were saying that it was found out that there's China's bigwigs, like the PBOC and whatnot, they're involved in mining. And so what we are probably seeing when we are seeing these enforcement actions is competition control. They're trying to knock down competition. They're not trying to end cryptocurrencies. They're not trying to end Bitcoin mining. They're trying to limit entrants. They're trying to limit participants. They want to try and contain the market to them. But they cannot come out and just say, oh, we're going to make this shit illegal and actually enforce entirely. They can't. Because invariably they're going to end up enforcing on themselves and cutting off that revenue stream that they've been enjoying. And you can be damn skippy, they've been enjoying a revenue stream from mining. I mean, it only takes so much money to flow into this before people around it are going, hey, how do I get in on that? How do I set up some mining? How do I cash in on your mining? Can I rent some of that mining power from you? I'll pay you in Bitcoin. Gosh, that's only been going on since 2014, huh? 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. Mining contracts. I seem to recall having heard about contracts happening way earlier than that, like 2011, 2012. As soon as Bitcoin had a value, i.e., the pizza event in U.S. dollars, that is, that was like off to the races from there. And so this guy, I can understand his perspective. I can understand why he thinks what he thinks. But it's only because I've seen it so many times that people that haven't bothered to really investigate, really participate in any of these projects can understand the value behind them. Can see the communities that are participating in mining them, in trading them, and using them as mediums of exchange. And without being immersed in it, it's really hard to see that there is a value, there is a quote-unquote intrinsic value behind Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. They wouldn't exist if there wasn't. Their existence is a reflection of people's interest in them. And that is the fact, kids. It's the same reason when you go to your grocery store, you can find milk, you can find eggs, you can find bread, you can find cheese, you can find bacon, because there's a demand for it. If there was no demand for it, it would not be there. It's the same thing with cryptocurrencies. And you can try to put on it the ideas of before, like with like boiler rooms and fictitious companies and whatnot, because there is some scammery like that does happen in cryptocurrencies. But some of it is actually fake it till you make it, where you have a proof of concept and you have a functional model that you have tested, that does work. And asking people, hey man, you want to invest in this? You want to throw down some cash? That happens. And the permissiveness to allow it to happen is what is going to continue to cause companies like Binance, with, like I said, a very, very diverse grouping of people as employees, continuing to flourish as we go along. You want to whine about unemployment. You want to whine about some sort of economic laggarding in your fucking economy, in your local economy. It's because you're not allowing us to just freely participate in this shit. Because if you did just let us participate and let us do as we are doing, which we're pretty much doing whether you're allowing it or not, you'll actually receive the above-the-board benefit yourself. And I think this is a concept I need to drive out a little bit harder, that Satoshi Nakamoto didn't give Bitcoin to one little grouping of people. He gave it to everybody. Now, some people think it's theirs, and some people think that they have some sort of control over it, but in the broader sense, because it was given to all of us, none of us in particular has any dominion over it. And its continued existence is evidence that we're all right with that. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music here. And I've been trying to pick out something cool for the next music break to start with. And so it's got to be Nevermore, Born, here on Coin Metal. And that was The Contortionist with Causality. And so, I got a little bit more on this Binance business. And it seems like there was some official stuff going on there, apparently. Binance signs agreement with Bermuda government on $15 million investment in jobs. Premier and Minister of Finance of Bermuda, David Burt, signed a memorandum of understanding with Binance Group on Friday. Burnews reports on April 27th, the MOU establishes funding for educational programs related to fintech and blockchain startups. Burt signed the MOU with Changpeng Zhao, founder and CEO of the world's second largest cryptocurrency exchange by market capitalization. Burt said that Binance's goals, quote, align with their aims and objectives to provide a leading, well-regulated jurisdiction ideally suited to the growth of the fintech industry. Burt stated that Binance plans to develop a, quote, global compliance base in Bermuda, a move which Burt says will add around 40 new jobs. At least 30 of those will go to Bermudans. According to the MOU, Binance will spend up to $10 million on university-level training for Bermudans in blockchain technology development and compliance through the Binance Foundation. The company will also provide up to $5 million in investments in new Bermuda-based blockchain companies through Binance Labs. The Bermuda government reportedly plans to develop a friendly legal framework for virtual currencies and blockchain. Zhao said that research conducted by Binance shows that Bermuda has, quote, one of the leading regulatory bodies for virtual currencies. Quote, we think the Bermuda government and regulatory body are one of the most approachable and reasonable and most forward-looking bodies on the planet. According to Zhao, the exchange has already started working with local solicitors in order to ensure that the new office will be compliant with the law. Burt said that the government wants to make Bermuda, quote, the first country in the world to comprehensively govern initial coin offerings within the country's jurisdiction. Yeah, that's not going to work. Quote, we want to ensure that Bermuda is the world's #1 place for regulation inside of this space. We have a reputation to protect. We will protect it, but at this point in time, we will work with all persons who we believe represent future growth for the people of this country and future opportunities and jobs. Earlier this week, Binance partnered with Ugandan blockchain organization Crypto Savannah to support economic development and youth employment in the country. The partnership also intends to attract investments to the East African country. And I think that's a very, very laudable goal. But there you have it. You know, a little deeper dig into the operations of Binance in that little presentation that we saw earlier, but did not actually watch the video for. But yeah, I think this is one of those places where too fast a hand on regulatory on the regulatory button there would limit Bermuda's ability to participate in cryptocurrencies. I think this idea of trying to regulate ICOs, hey man, you know what? Forget about it. Just forget about it. They're already trying this shit in China, and they're finding out really quick that all that happens is that people switch to OTC trading for stuff that isn't quote-unquote legally available on regular exchanges. And that trend is not going to end. You know, I think that the more resistance that governments put on that, the greater the incentive there will be to participate in these opportunities, because there'll be greater premiums put on participation of them within your jurisdiction. Again, I see that type of mentality with regard to regulation to be just a big waste of time. Monitor this shit. If you think it is a danger, discontinue it on your exchanges. You know, advise your exchanges. Say, hey, yo, you know, you might want to ban this thing because, you know, we see this going on with it. If they don't, they have assumed the responsibility for whatever fallout may be experienced by their users. I mean, that's one point I think where legacy finance has really failed us, that we haven't seen a significant enough response to abuses in the legacy markets. You know, I saw something on China the other day where they had a bunch of finance ministers that were convicted of various forms of corruption or whatever. They lined them all up and they killed them. If we had that level of accountability here in the United States, do you really think that we would have had the financial collapse that we did back in 2009? Fuck no. Everybody would have been worried about losing their head or being put up in front of a firing squad or some shit like that. You're like, fuck that. I don't want to take on that risk. You know, if it's something like asset forfeiture, yeah, there's a little bit of disincentive to earn ill-gotten gains if you think they're just going to be stolen from you. But if you're earning ill-gotten gains, that means that at some point or another you've intersected with some sort of regulatory blind spot. And there's no guarantee that when they do catch you, that you do actually report all of the funds that you've made and squirreled away. It's a fact of life, kids, with regard to crypto, and it's not going to change anytime soon. But I think that taking a hands-off approach... Oh, and by the way, that was by Anna Alexander. Binance signs agreement with Bermuda government on 15 million investment jobs, and that was on Cointelegraph.com. Just wanted to give proper attribution there. Oh, and no penis. But yeah, I did click on the MOU link there on Burnews.com, and it basically just gives us the same thing that we'd gotten. There's a little more detail to it, but I don't know. I think we've kind of beaten that one into the ground. But yeah, Binance, good on you. I'd like to see more cryptocurrency companies following suit. And let's see here. I'm not going to read that one. Number one, it's old and probably completely irrelevant. Here we go. This is really interesting. This is an additional perspective in this conversation we've been having so far today regarding regulators and exactly how... Oh, you know, and we're not going to read it because it's old. Let's see here. Oh, this one is new. And this is one I actually intended to cover today anyway. Because we did talk about NASDAQ talking about the potential in the future of setting up a trading desk or trading in cryptocurrencies. And so it puts an interesting light on this article here on newsbtc.com. And this one was authored by Rebecca Campbell. Again, no penis. Clearly by the name. Unless, of course, it's a man writing as a woman, then there's no accountability there. At least not on my account. And this is authored on April 27th, 2018, so today at 9:54 p.m. No indication of time zone, though, so it could have been Eastern Time. Continuing on. The CEO of NASDAQ, Inc. and Bank of America Corp. have said that cryptocurrencies pose a threat and that they should be regulated. Adena Friedman, CEO of NASDAQ, and Brian Moynihan, CEO of Bank of America, were both speaking at a conference in New York hosted by the MIT Sloan School of Management on Friday, reports Bloomberg. According to Friedman, initial coin offerings should be subjected to securities laws, an argument that has been heard from Jay Clayton, chair of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. As a result, the agency has issued several subpoenas to companies in order to determine how ICOs are presented to potential customers. The agency is also warned of pump-and-dump schemes involving them. During the conference, Friedman stated that retail investors deserved protection if they were going to put their money into a product, whereas Moynihan argued that cryptocurrencies could be used for illegal reasons. Oh my God. Quote, "The idea of anonymous currencies just never turned out to be a good thing," Moynihan told the conference. Quote, "You have a real potential risk." Yes, of course. When we all said, yeah, I'm not in objection to that, I'm willing to absorb that risk. Continuing. He added that the use of digital currencies could fill a gap to move large sums of illicit money, which fiat money can't do because high denomination bills don't exist and because of the anonymity that some cryptocurrencies present. Interestingly, these comments from Friedman come at a time when the CEO said earlier this week that the stock exchange would be open to becoming a cryptocurrency exchange once the industry is matured. In an interview with CNBC, she said, "I believe that digital currencies will continue to persist. It's just a matter of how long it will take for that space to mature." NASDAQ is also teaming up with Gemini, the digital currency exchange founded by Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, to use its smarts technology to monitor trading manipulation, not necessarily stop it. Just make sure you're front-running it. However, while the Bank of America claimed it in its annual filing in February to the SEC that the cryptocurrency market is a risk to its business, its competitors have been showing increasing interest in the industry. Earlier this week, it was reported that Goldman Sachs had made its first hire in its cryptocurrency markets unit, signaling its seriousness in helping clients to invest in digital currencies. Since December, the Wall Street Bank has been hinting at setting up a trading desk dealing with digital currencies. The bank is aiming to have its platform up and running by the summer of 2018 at the latest. And let's be honest here, they've had Circle this whole time, or at least since, I think it was 2015, they had a significant share in Circle. So, yeah, there you have it. Another perspective from the NASDAQ CEO. However, I've got to say I don't believe that the nature of maturity that she is looking for will actually occur in cryptocurrencies. I think what will occur is that the maturity, on the maturity aspect of it rather, will be that there will be a greater and greater number of participants in it. And when we're talking about legitimacy, the matter of what you have is a copy of the blockchain and how it compares to the rest of the network. If it's up to date with the rest of the network, it's as legitimate as every single transaction that's happened and has been recorded on the blockchain. So the layers of mystery that these people keep wanting to fantasize exists in publicly mined cryptocurrencies that they have to oversee and they have to regulate doesn't fucking exist. Cryptocurrencies are by far the most transparent means of transacting monetary value from one person to another. So again, this idea that there needs to be a microscope shoved up the ass of every cryptocurrency, give me a fucking break. You know what you need in order to see the activity of what's happening on a cryptocurrency? A current copy of its blockchain. Download this shit. You know, you people are so interested in downloading everything else that we do and storing it in a fucking place in Utah. Why wouldn't you fucking store a copy of the blockchain? It's a publicly available fucking document. A ledger, rather. Not really a document. Well, it's kind of a document, but not really a document. But the point being is there's no hiding going on. It's there. It's perfectly transparent. You want to monitor quote-unquote manipulation? Monitor hash rates. Monitor the miner pools. I mean, that'll tell you everything that's going on the network. But, no, we need regulation. No, we don't need regulation. Because the thing is, we are actually monitoring it. And we monitor it because it's in our interest to monitor it. See, if we assume that you're monitoring it for us, when and if there is a great failure that does cost a lot of people a significant sum of money, it will be on your shoulders. They'll be pointing back at you, SEC. They'll be pointing back at you, CFTC, and saying, what the fuck? Why didn't you do enough? You had as much a copy of the blockchain as anybody had that was available, and we left it to you to monitor the shit. What the fuck? How did you drop the ball on 3 million people and fuck up their network, or 4 million, or 15 million, or 150 million? We don't assume that you have that kind of control. We assume that you don't. And that's why we leave it up to us to do it for you. And it's not just one or two of us, it's a lot of us. It's thousands of us. And you don't have that kind of regulatory envelope within the current legacy systems. If you did, the calls for an audit of the Fed's books would not be there. We would know how many Federal Reserve notes there are. We would know how many there is that have been issued and at exactly what rate they've been issued at. But we don't know those things. We do know those things about Bitcoin. We know those things about Litecoin and 15 other cryptocurrencies that are live right now. So you're in the face of a far more accountable currency than you could ever produce. And you're calling for more regulatory oversight? Give me a fucking break. I mean, really, how silly can you get? Anyway, I got this other one here. And it's this normal call in cryptocurrencies that we hear from regulators over and over and over again, or at least those minded to the idea of regulating cryptocurrencies. And this one is by Molly Zuckerman. We don't do middle names here. Molly Zuckerman. And this is on Cointelegraph.com. PBOC director, bullish on blockchain, but sees potential in more centralization. Of course you do. You think that you can be the center. That means you'll be accountable. Hey, you know what they did to the last group of accountable people that fucked up in your country? Yeah, that's right. They lined them all up and killed them. Continuing on. The director of the Institute of Digital Currency at the People's Bank of China, PBOC, Yao Qin, believes that while blockchain has benefits, its shortcomings need to be resolved in order for it to, quote, become the financial infrastructure of the future. And it's too late for that, dude. It already is. According to an opinion piece by Qin, published by state-owned media outlet Yaikai today, April 27th. After listing the benefits of blockchain technology, its security, reliability, use of smart contracts, and peer-to-peer system, Quinn notes that it is precisely because the blockchain technology mainly served Bitcoin in the early stage, and why in some aspects it has obvious shortcomings and deficiencies. How so, sir? How so? The main problems, according to Quinn, are an inability to scale and needs for improvement of data privacy and the governance mechanism. In other words, he wants to be able to hide his transactions while having open access to yours. Once a problem occurs, especially a security hole, it will be very deadly. Yeah, it'll be so deadly that a bunch of developers across the world will get together and fix the shit. If one relaxed the decentralization of blockchain, quote, many problems could be solved. Yeah, that wasn't the goal, asshole. Quote, for example, in a multi-center system such as a coalition chain, upgrading the bottom of the blockchain by shutting down the system or a merging invention, rolling back data, etc. are available means when necessary. Yeah, he wants to be able to edit the fucking blockchain on the fly and make it to where, he was solvent even though he wasn't, while you were insolvent when you thought you were. Fuck you, asshole. Fuck your management. That's why everybody has a copy of the blockchain, fuckface. These methods help control risks and correct mistakes. Correct mistakes. Correct mistakes. Take that in. Correct mistakes on a public blockchain. Give me a break. For regular code upgrades, controllable intelligent contract replacement is achieved by separating code and data and combining multi-layer smart contract structures. Yeah, he wants to run multiple copies of the blockchain at once so that he can selectively delete and edit transactions on the fly, or almost in real time. He's got possession of all the nodes, so it really doesn't matter how long it takes him to do the intended edits. If it's on a public blockchain, there aren't mistakes in it. Because if they are mistakes, they get corrected on their own. Continuing on. Quinn references the DAO hack of 2016 when around 60 million of Ethereum were stolen, as highlighting how when problems arise, they, quote, cannot be repaired by shutting down the system and centralizing upgrades as a centralized system does. Yeah, you correct it and you don't bother to tell anybody about it. They just are suddenly missing money. Or they suddenly have money that they thought they didn't have. Continuing on. The lack of centralized governance mechanisms also means that, quote, problems can only be resolved through soft forks or hard forks, which will eventually lead to confusion and division. No, they will eventually lead to perfection, or greater perfection than we had yesterday. In the future, Quinn sees various blockchain systems having different levels of decentralization to meet the specific needs of different scenarios. Yeah, they want to be able to cheat while everybody else gets cheated. Fuck you. Solutions to the problems that Quinn has identified in the current state of blockchain technology are a potential addition of the verification methods used by military control systems or chip design, as well as avoiding human errors as much as possible through mathematical proof. Yeah, we already have that. Quinn concludes by writing that, quote, the blockchain belongs to the public and serves the public interest. Yeah, that's why we mine it, is because it serves the public interest. Quote, the blockchain should not be owned by anyone, let alone a small fraction of the super rich. Therefore, some people are opposed to the governance of the chain. Yes, I am. Fuck you. Overall, the governance mechanism on the chain is still in the process of controversy and exploration. There is not yet a unified opinion, and we need further attention and research. Yes, I couldn't agree more, sir, and most of your assertions so far are based on misunderstandings of what's been going on this entire time. We wouldn't exist if this shit didn't work. Cointelegraph recently reported that the election of a pro-market economist to the head of the PBOC could have a positive impact on the Chinese cryptocurrency sector. Coin also notes that Chinese President Xi Jinping recently spoke of the need for China to focus on tech development. Quote, "We must resolve to maintain our preservance, identify the focus, and accelerate the promotion of core technologies in the field of information." In early March, the now former head of the PBOC said that blockchain technology should not, quote, "spread too rapidly." Yeah, in other words, you shouldn't have it. In order to prevent a negative effect on financial stability. Yeah, in other words, a negative effect on his control of it. The new governor, Zhi Gang, who was appointed at mid-March, is reported to have spoken positively of Bitcoin, calling it, quote, "inspiring," and stating that it gives, quote, "ordinary people the freedom to participate," which these assholes want to correct. The debate over whether blockchain and Bitcoin as entities must go together was raised earlier this month by the CEO of Lightning Labs, who challenged the blockchain over Bitcoin narrative. The separation of the two concepts has been practiced by central banks like the Reserve Bank of India, which promotes blockchain innovation while saying that cryptocurrencies can destabilize the financial system. Yes, destabilize their control of the traditional financial system. And that's exactly what they were designed to do, dude. They were designed to give you competition. I'm sorry that you view that as such a negative thing, but you know what? Just like all the other people in cryptocurrencies that view competition as a negative thing, you are shit out of luck. The time for you to have had a dominance in this space is gone. And I will argue that again and again and again until the cows come home or until you figure it out. One of the two. I mean, one has to happen first, right? I'm sure the cows may in fact come home first, but you'll still be arguing against the wind. And it is with that I would like to draw this one to a close. We will be back again on Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Because, you know, as much as these people yap about being able to help you or make shit safer for you or whatever, they really can't. The safest hands are your own, and the best mind at it, the best instincts are your own when it comes to your interests. I want you to do your homework, because that's how you figure out the best ways to do things without making the mistakes that cost you a lot of money. And I want you to watch out for your own bunghole, because as much as the PBOC and other groups fantasize that they can, they really can't. Thank you very much for listening. I certainly appreciate the support. You can find me on Twitter and in the Telegram for Verge Currency. So until Monday, y'all have an excellent weekend. And with our last dance, it's going to be Tool, Vicarious, here on Coin Metal. Thanks again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening.